Talk about the foods that you should always get organic. Let's start with number one, peanuts. Peanuts have a very thin shell that is not growing on a tree. It is in the soil. And they put heavy amounts of sprays and fungicides to counteract the mold that grows on these peanuts. And because that peanut shell is so thin, it's going to be like a sponge for pesticides. So this is why if you're going to eat peanuts, I would highly recommend that you get organic peanuts. Next one, growing strawberries. If you're doing strawberries, I would not do conventional. There's no shell. The chemicals go right in. And so again, it's like a little sponge. Coffee is one of the products that is heavily sprayed with a lot of chemicals, and coffee is grown around the world. And sometimes you don't even know where it comes from. It's grown in the tropics. And so there's more chance for mold and fungus. So they're going to put a lot of stuff on it. If you're going to consume coffee, make sure it's organic. Now let's just go right down to tea. Tea is also heavily sprayed, but because tea is like a leaf, you're going to get even more chemicals than coffee. And so I would highly recommend, if you're going to do tea, make sure that's also organic. Now let's get to chocolate. Here's another one where they spray a lot of chemicals. Chocolate is harvested in tropical areas where there's higher chance of mold and fungus, and so they do use chemicals. So if you're going to do chocolate, do organic. Cotton is another massive commercial crop where they heavily spray this cotton. And the thing is that you have cotton tampons, which actually go inside your body, that you can be exposed to these chemicals, that then those residues can be absorbed by your body. Then you also have cotton clothing and sheets. So that's just another thing to put on your radar. There could be some residues, especially the tampons, and also cotton products for small babies. I would make sure it's organic. Spinach is another heavily sprayed crop. Okay, so this is the one I would do organically. I personally don't do a lot of spinach because it's also high in oxalates, which can trigger kidney stones. I would do more arugula or just romaine lettuce. Apples are heavily sprayed. If you're going to do apples, I would highly recommend do organic. I think if you actually peeled the apples, you probably could take off a good amount of those pesticides. But apparently the peel is definitely different than a shell from a nut. So you're not going to get the same protection. Grapes are another one. They're heavily sprayed. I would do organic if you're going to do grapes. Cherries are one that I would highly recommend doing organic as well because they heavily spray cherries. And then wheat, oats, lentils, and pulses need to be organic. And I'm going to tell you why. Because even if you see non-GMO wheat, that means it's not genetically modified, but it doesn't mean they're not spraying an herbicide called glyphosate, which is Roundup Ready on it, because that's what they do as a drying agent. So in other words, some of these chemicals are not used to kill pests and weeds. They're used to dry out this product, especially wheat, oats, barley, buckwheat, and even lentils and pulses. So if you were going to eat wheat, oats, lentil, and pulses, make sure that's organic, not just non-GMO.